Hey, Feenie.
Hi.
Hi, I have something for you today.
Ooh, that's exciting. What is it?
So, in case you've been planting seeds for your new life or to break old patterns and bring in new patterns, today I want to tell you about one reason why it's not been effective so far and you keep going back to your old patterns.
That sounds perfect, especially since March is a time where we are meant to take action in line
At
with
least according to nature.
According to nature, it's a great time to take action. It's a great time. New Year's resolutions are in the past, and now we're planting seeds. And if we give them some fertilization, they'll grow. But if we don't have the right earth to plant them in, then I guess we're screwed.
Yeah, so
please share.
Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is indeed spring. And around this time, especially starting with the first full moon in March, we start planting seeds for the rest of the year to grow, to bring new things into our life. And plus, probably a lot of you have made New Year's resolutions that are all forgotten about now. So it's relevant to both. So for next year's New Year's resolutions, for those to actually come into effect properly, and for the seeds that you plant now to actually result truly in new patterns.
All right, so what's the work I've got to do?
Predictive processing reset.
What's that?
I'm so glad you asked. I did not see that question coming. So this has actually been around. It's technology, consciousness technology has been around for at least 40,000 years. I think for as long as humans have been entering trance states. And a shamanic practitioner might call this a journey to the other world. Neuroscientists are finally catching up. Aren't we so happy for them? That they call that predictive processing reset. And what that is in practice is we're always like, okay, go back even further. You and I and every human, or most humans, because we're going to leave a little space for all the humans that function in wonderfully different ways. But most humans are prediction machines, which means we're always predicting everything that's about to happen all the time, nonstop, except when we're sleeping, maybe.
We predict in accordance with what we know from the past?
Yes, we predict in accordance with what we know from the past, what we have come to learn to expect, and we're filling in the blanks. And so what happens, especially as we grow older, if we enter into these very routine lives where we never alter our state of consciousness. So think, for example, the older you get, this is not true for everyone. I'm just naming examples that might be true for some of you listening, but the older you get, the less you dance, the less out of the box things you do. You know, if you're dressed and your kid asks you to get into the bathtub, you're like, well, then I'd have to, do all this. I mean, you're like toddler. This was me yesterday, by the way. My kids were like, come into the bathtub and play, Mom. I'm like, first, my routine is not to be in a bathtub right now. And then I thought, well, how much longer am I going to get these questions? And really, how much of an effort is it to break my routine? And I think, I know that a lot of the spiritual practices, the shamanic practices I do contribute to this flexibility that I'm still fostering and tending to. And let's think of other routines. Like as kids, we're always making art. Like we're constantly trying new things. And as adults, we do less and less and less of that. And then the routine is wake up, always need to have the coffee or the tea or this fixed morning routine, then have to do go to work, do this fixed thing. Often artists are actually, of all kinds, have more neuroplasticity to try new things and expand in many ways. And to be fair, also, it might right now sound a bit like I'm saying, hey, it's your fault. No, it's not at all. It's just the way we're indoctrinated in our culture, in our society, our ideas also of what being an adult entails. And we're also creatures of comfort. I mean, our brains, ourselves, we like to just take the most efficient route. So if something's working effectively, we stay in that. and this goes is interesting with trauma as well. Like if we have protective mechanisms as children, it's easier to stay in those protective mechanisms as adults than actually change them.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, but there's 5 different main personality types.
So tell me about those 5 personality types.
All right, so there's 5 different ones that are the main ones, which are, I quickly open them because I can't remember all of them. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And the people who are open, they're the ones that also always seek new things, that can't live in routine. So there is a group of people that that thrive on newness.
I'd be curious to know if people with an openness personality type are generally less stressed and less anxious, or if the inability to be in routines is a different kind of routine.
Yeah, might be. I just wanted to throw it in there because that's what came to my mind. And there's people that just, I know that if I don't do new things every once in a while, then I get very sad.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Absolutely. And then regardless of your personality type, though, so even if you're open to new things, you might still have old patterns, right? Certain type of relationships that we choose, or certain triggers that make us extremely anxious or send us into a rut of sorts that we then have to work our way out of. And here's where predictive processing reset comes in. Do you feel like we've gone over enough of what the routine and the prediction machine is?
Yeah, I think so. Bodies? And if I think about it, the openness is even, I mean, that's probably also in some shape or form like routine. You maybe travel to new places, but traveling's always traveling in some way. Or you might like take a new course, but it's also taking a new course there's also similarity in that. So there's not that totally out of the norm thing. I haven't really heard of that.
I mean, it's such a good point that you're bringing up, because it can be a form of escape. And I know I've had a hard time in the past personally, really dedicating myself consistently without interruption to one thing. And it's much easier than to get that like dopamine hit of, oh, I'm buying a new course, or I'm going to go on a trip. And then there's this sense of gratification. There's the pleasure, from being open to new experiences. But on a deeper layer, continuing along one path with dedication to really go deep remains a challenge. Yeah. So that's a really good example. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Okay, but now I think we've covered this.
Okay, so let's get back into why breaking the pattern might not work. So I already mentioned predictive processing reset, but how do we actually do that? And if we do that, or what is the effect of that? Before we actually share an easy way to do it,
quickly. So the idea is, because now we spoke about we're all constantly creating the future, predicting the future.
Now. We're creating the now. Yeah.
We're creating the now.
And the future. And the past.
And so the idea is to not do that, right?
The idea is that how we create, because we retell our memories, so we're creating the past, variations of the past constantly. We are experiencing the now based on what we expect in many ways, and we're creating the future because this then in turn affects the kinds of choices we make, the kind of behaviors and habits we elicit. So in order to change that, it's like going on a fast. Your gut gets to fully reset, and then you can very conscientiously choose which foods you put in, because the reset gut will have a different experience of what it wants often. That's a whole nother topic. So when we do this predictive processing reset, or in magical terms, esoteric terms, we journey to the other world. That's one way, by the way. This is not the only way to do this. Then what happens is we stop predicting for a moment. We fully break the pattern because we're in an altered state of consciousness. We're in a trance state. We experience what some call the God mind. Everything is one. One is everything. I am everything, and some of you've probably experienced this at one time or another. If you go really crazy into dancing and you're just in it, or if you do a psychedelic experience, or if you've done a lot of travel, like once you get to the top of the mountain, or you've done this really long hike and you get to where you want to go and you've really exerted yourself physically, there's a moment where there's no question about anything. You just simply are. And this is the state of mind that we want to be into to effectively plant new seeds. So when we're in this state and we plant new seeds, while we're completely open, and then also take this practice, this in the form, for example, of awareness beyond the reset, then we can effectively and in a much easier way start to form new habits, new patterns, and new ways of experiencing the world. So, for example, I love your example because it's so familiar to me as well. You go out on the street with your dog, or you just are on the street, and something happens like that feels utterly random, and someone has a big go at you, and it just sticks. And that's our pattern, at least, but I know others will feel familiar with this too. It's like, oh my God, like how dare they? There's like all these thoughts, and it ends up taking up a lot of headspace. There's judgment and criticism of ourselves and others. This is definitely not an atmosphere of self-love and love thy neighbor. And if we want to disrupt that pattern and plant a different way of being, like responding in that moment, which would be, oh my God, this person must be having a really bad day, or that must have terrified them, or even beyond that would be like, oh my God, bless this moment. Whew. And then move on. Like very simply, there's so many ways we can deal with that we already know would be better. I'm sure everyone listening to this has some pattern in their life where they know when this thing happens, they always react in this way, which is not good, and they know how they might respond better. And yet, when the same thing comes around, you don't. And so this is also what planting new seeds, in effect, can do. It can completely change your whole life. And when you do this in a state, that's also what casting a circle does. When we enter into ritual, time, and space, for example, when we cast that circle, this is also, if we do it, effectively and using methods that bring us into trance state, into altered states of consciousness, then we are essentially doing this predictive processing reset. And then what we do in the ritual, or what we do with our intention setting, or whatever other processes, journaling, has a much bigger chance of actually sticking. And of course, there's no easy answer to everything, and that's also the continued work and awareness is so important. Because otherwise, you can have this great transformative experience and then also go back into your old patterns. So you want the two to work together and consistently. Just like you can't just, if you have bad teeth and you get them fixed, you can't just brush your teeth once or twice and expect your teeth to be really good and stay really good. There's a consistency that's important. It's part of our routines or hygiene as human beings, our continued growth and evolution.
So make it practical, because right now this sounds great, but I'd have no idea how to go about doing this.
Okay, so let's see. Not everyone has access to a shamanic drumming journey. Well, actually, we do. We should make one. Let's make a shamanic drum journey for our YouTube channel. because we've been thinking, what's the next great value video we can give. So we'll create a shamanic drum journey for you. And it's very simple. You go in, you could go into the shamanic drum journey with the simplest intention to enter an altered state of consciousness, to relax. That's simple. And it's like the beat of the drum will flow through your body. And even better is if the intention involves traveling to a place in nature that matters a lot to you, because then your mind also has something to do. So put on the drum journey track and enter into the journey with the intention of, in your mind's eye, whether it's through seeing with your inner eye or a sense of knowing or feeling. We all have this interior space that functions a bit differently. So in whatever way you can go to that place in nature, in your mind's eye, or with your spirit, do so and spend time there and learn about how you can effectively plant seeds. That's another thing that you can ask while you're in this trance state. I don't know how deep or simple I can go in the format of this podcast, but you can ask any question when you go into a drum journey. And actually, we'll place an intention at the beginning of our drum journey. I think that's a good one, right? Make it really.
If I want to do this right now,
yeah,
and I don't have the drum journey accessible to me.
Another way to enter into this kind of state is holotropic breathwork. But if you're new to all of it, it's really beneficial to have some kind of guided process, because if, like so many people I've spoken to, also clients, they have an incredibly hard time actually going there when it's just them on their own with no recording, no other person to hold space. This also, by the way, has a lot to do with feelings of safety. So many of us have been taught that these states of consciousness are a way of losing control and that it is unsafe in whatever manner. So this can be one reason why without any guided journey, it can be very hard to actually have experienced that kind of reset.
Mm-hmm. And what's also important is to find someone who actually knows what they're doing. So doing Pebble, we put this online, the drum journey, that would be amazing. Or you can also go to Oracle if you're in Amsterdam to experience this live. But I did a holotropic breathwork that I found on YouTube, and I'm not 100% how good it was. Like it was good, but I think it's probably important to have someone who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, you bring up another really important point, Fini, and something that was vital for me at the beginning of my journey. I was doing all this guided stuff at home, but I wasn't interacting live with any person. So I didn't really know if I was experiencing the right thing or not. And when I had my first private session with a teacher, a world opened up. This was an online class, one-on-one. You know, this is the reason why I offer what I offer, these like one-on-one connection online, and just getting feedback that my experience was valid changed everything for me and gave me so much confidence over the years to trust my experience. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we found someone, we found a video, or we found a live place to do a shamanic drum journey or a holotropic breathwork session. And we go in with the question of, what can I do to make a seed I want to plant right now stick? Yeah.
But we could even scratch that, to be honest, because it's a bit of a gross simplification of drum journey. And there are more processes that I would like to add. Maybe we do a podcast about drum journeys. Essentially, or in practice, what you're going for is this God-mind experience. The all is one, one is all. Your day-to-day thoughts are gone. You're fully here and now.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could go on a long hike.
Seed afterwards. Yeah.
Yes. In
I
that
could go on a
state of
long
mind.
hike, or I could, if playing an instrument is my jam, or you could dance it out for half an hour, or ecstatic dance, maybe also
Yeah.
a place to do this. Okay, and then after that, I sit down and consider the seeds, or I know them beforehand, or I know I do it after.
Well, okay, the simplest form for someone who's just starting out probably has an idea of, okay, when this thing happens, I react in a way that I know isn't bad. And I know if I would respond in this other way, it would be better for everyone involved and my own well-being. Yeah. So I think everyone has something like that. And that could be a really good starting point. Just that one seed for that one type of situation where you always do the same thing.
And it could be just like loving kindness towards yourself.
Yes, in that moment, like,
Self-compassion.
okay, someone gives you the finger while driving or shouts at you, and maybe you even did something wrong by accident, and then you immediately go into this like self-critical state. I mean, most people have something where they go into a self-critical state, or the self-love industry would be non-existent, and then the tiniest seed that is honestly a massive seed in terms of impact on life could be to, in that moment, orient towards self-love, choose self-love, no criticism, no anything, just like, oh, okay, it's okay. I love you. You got this. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and how do I then, you said the second step is to, I've had my teeth cleansed professionally, and the next step is to clean them every day. So what's the cleaning every day in this instance?
All right. So let's summarize. So you enter into this all as one state through meditation, through a long hike, through breath work, drum journey, whatever it is. And drum journey more in depth than what I described. I tried to do it like a version, but it didn't work. So scratch what I said earlier. But so you're in this God mind state. All is one is all. Neuroplasticity is activated, from what I understand. And then you go through the chain of events. This is how I do it. Again, there's many ways to do this. So I visualize what happens, and I see myself responding in the way that I know deep down is best for my well-being. And I go over this again and again.
So I can take a situation I've had in the past and be like, okay.
Yeah. You like rewrite the past and thereby also rewrite the present and rewrite the future.
Okay.
And you really experience yourself. So tips and tricks for this is to engage all of your senses when you do this. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you feel? How's your nervous system? Is your heart beating really fast? And you go in and you change all of that. So you see the thing happens. You feel your heart stays really calm. You feel your mind is filled with self-love. You feel your shoulders are relaxed. You smell, I don't know, maybe you're outside or in the city, you smell the flowers or the exhaust fumes or whatever. So you really create this detailed experience, because another thing neuroscientists catching up to is that what we imagine is real to our mind, to our brain. Yeah, so we create this reality. And then as we continuously do so, practice this, take some time with this, bring in attention, we can over time change it. So a great example that I know many people will relate to is a primary caregiver, in my case, my mom. And certain things will be said or the conversation will go a certain way. In the past, my nervous system would tense up like crazy. And there were several, and we would like inadvertently get into fights, like big ones, because we're temperamental. And different moments in time where I actively worked with this was once I did with Peruvian shamans, an ayahuasca ceremony. I was in one and stuff with mom came up, and I just felt this immense love for her and focused a lot on her, and then stuck with that afterwards, then there's the continuous active work with mom. I have the luck with her that, a lot of the magic I feel has been passed from her to me. So she actively works with me too. And we've over time, but I still, I have to do my own work. Like she could not change it all and it would still get better. So over time, I've done things to interrupt the pattern. I've visualized certain things. Then I talk to other people about it. I would say, next time this happens, instead of doing this, which I always do, I'm going to do this other thing. And so this then puts it into reality because I'm speaking it out loud, which is another magical, mystical secret we can get into, speaking it out loud. So there's all these things you can then do to really help these seeds grow and blossom into flowers. So the reset, the predictive processing reset, I guess, is a way of pulling out the weeds. But if you don't tend to the soil and put like the nice wood chips on there and plant the flowers, which is ongoing work, the weeds are going to come back. Mm-hmm. And it's work that never stops either. And I know this from incredibly wise, magical people who are in their 60s and 70s, and they're still doing the work on the same subjects, on the same patterns. And every time you get a little bit better at it, but it doesn't go away, just like weeds, and they serve a purpose too.
Yeah. Okay, but then again, it's just like brushing your teeth, and we just do it because then we have clean teeth and it's really good. And it doesn't have to be
a big thing.
It's not a half-hour task every day. You can probably just spend a few minutes, spend a few thoughts, a few words, journaling. 3 sentences. And cool. Yeah. All right, I know what I want to try this out with. So
finally, one final thing, because it can sound like a bit overwhelming and like a lot, but maybe at first it is. Think about what it was like to learn to brush your teeth, to learn to walk. It can take months. Like you're practicing, you're getting up, you're sitting down, you're getting up, sitting down. You're like, okay, circular motion. Okay, don't press too hard. Do all the teeth. So you're learning this whole routine, which takes time. But then eventually, that exact thing that it does have such an incredibly massive effect on your well-being, on your life, on your growth, on everything. Like it's one of the best things we can do. One of the most human things we can do also is it becomes a routine that you don't even have to think about, just like brushing your teeth. Like, it's not a big deal eventually.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. I hope that you try this out, to those listening, and let us know how it goes. I would love to hear if it works for you. And if you need some extra help or support, you can book a free 15-minute compass call with Pipaluk and get some guidance, have her point you in the right direction. And that's it for today.
Yes, yeah. The compass call is really about if you and I working together is a good fit, while at the same time offering you support in your journey wherever you are right now. And make sure to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Magic is Key, because you're going to find a drumming track there very soon.
Yeah, you'll find all the guided practices that Pipaluk does for us, with us over there. It's called Magic is Key.
Yes.
All right, we'll put the link. It's not working on YouTube yet because our channel's still very small. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe, give it a like, and we can grow, and I can finally add some links.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing, Pipaluk. I learned a lot today, and we'll speak soon.
Yes, share this podcast with a friend.
Bye.